Right, I think we are live. Good morning, guys. It's 10:30 a.m. over here. I was studying about data structures and how you can make them thread safe, basically. So you can either extend the class, use class decorators or method decorators. So that is something that you can do to make your data structures work with locks and basically become thread safe. Having said that, there are a few, not a few, actually only one, I think, data structure that I've come across so far, which is inherently thread safe. I haven't gone into the why of it. I just know that it is. So apparently queues are thread safe, and any derivative data type that comes of it should also be thread safe in that case. So I learned about FIFO queues. FIFO queues is basically what the standard queue is. LIFO queues, which are just tags, and priority queues, where you assign a weight to every entry that you put in the queue, and then you can fetch based on the order of those weights. So these are the three data structures that I've studied about that are inherently thread safe. So that's something I've been doing so far. Abhi, what is the last thing I did? There is a small section over here about how to work with queue objects in a multi-threaded environment. So there is a check on how to see if it's full or empty, uh, all that stuff. फिर यहाँ पे क्या किया था हमने? हाँ, यहाँ पे बस we had put a upper bound on the size of the queue so that you don't run into memory errors. मतलब if you're actually doing this in a multi-threaded environment, then putting this check for a queue is crucial. Otherwise, you risk running into memory errors. It will keep growing in size, the queue, and you could technically go into that error. So that is absolutely bad practice. You need to have this somewhere in your code, usually. Some sort of a fallback, whatever. तो वो हो गया. Abhi I am studying about the join function. The join function, sorry, the join method for queues is not exactly the same as it is used in the context of threads. Uh, you basically apply the join method to a single thread. And what basically happens is it acts as a blocker for that particular thread to continue working on and terminate until that statement is released. So basically, the code that is after the join statement is not going to get executed until the thread in question has terminated. So that's what done its job and terminated, of course. So that is how the join method is used in context of threads. But in context of queues, what we are talking about here is whether the queue is empty or not. Basically, it's like checking if the queue is empty or not with just extra steps. So you might have multiple threads listening slash consuming from a thread, a queue, right? So some sort of a publish subscriber wala system you have जहाँ पे subscribers are listening to a queue, a shared queue. तो उसमें ना there is some syntax that needs to be followed. There is the get command. I think it's there somewhere here in this tutorial. एक second, let me look it up. Yeah, see, item equals queue.get. This is the standard fetch command, so to speak, for the thread that fetches from the queue. Get command basically just pops the element and returns that same element to the variable over here. So you're basically just picking out an element from the front of the queue, and yeah, you're working with it basically. So this statement by itself does not indicate to the queue that you have consumed the element. What is supposed to happen, the pattern sort of over here, is that you do item is equal to queue.get, you have fetched the element, you do some processing over it. This processing will change, obviously, depending on what the queue is made up of. तो या यहाँ पे बस छोटा सा check लगाया है कि if the item is none, then just break because this is not supposed to be happening. Just end the thread, screw it. And if not, then print that I have removed this particular element from the queue. Sorry, this particular thread has removed this particular item from the queue. And you have to write this now, इसके बाद. This basically signals the end of your consuming the item. So you're basically telling the queue कि मेरा काम हो गया है इस item के साथ. Okay, now you can consider this as removed from your queue. So this is a separate statement that needs to be put up. So you will have to, मतलब, you might realize that you will have to make sure that queue.taskDone is executed the same number of times as queue.get is run, or at least the same number of times as a queue item is successfully consumed. If not, then I'm not sure what happens. Because see, thread से तो गया ही है already. It's not like we can reverse it. Okay, that is something worth going into. वो देखते हैं बाद में. Maybe I could have written my doubts somewhere. Let's write it in cursor only. Do I have .txt's? Git ignore में क्यों डाल रहे हो? हाँ, करते हैं, सीधा ही करते हैं, चलो. Why should my number of queue.get calls be the same as queue.taskDone calls? If my, in the event that my queue item is not properly consumed, but queue.taskDone not called, what happens then? Does the item go back in queue? I think I should ask this question. A lot of my time has gone into asking questions only. मतलब, I do think this is productive, Ray, but वैसे let's use HiQ for our doubts. Sonnet is overkill. Queue.get, queue.taskDone calls should match because they work together to track task completion. That makes sense. Removes an item, increments an internal unfinished task का counter. ये बताया था उन्होंने book में. I think so. Queue.taskDone signals that you have finished processing that item and decrements. The item does not go back into the queue, stays removed. Okay, this sort of acts as your, मतलब TaskDone sort of acts as your, okay, I don't know, I'm feeling a little weird about it. Basically, TaskDone is sort of your check ray at the end that you're done with this element. Let's go on to the next one, regardless of the consuming being successful or not. Why separate calls matter? काउंटर इंक्रीमेंट क्यों होगा यार? हट यार, आई डोंट लाइक दिस. हाँ, q dot join basically waits for all the tasks and statements. Yeah, I think I'm convinced. मतलब what you're basically saying is that the q dot join operation waits for task done. Okay. यार q dot get थोड़ा reversible नहीं हो सकता? Okay, ठीक है. But then you would have to add to the front of the queue, and that would involve using a dequeue. I can just take this as is. That is not an issue. I think I'm convinced that this works, at least. Be the same as why should the number suppose give your workers time to actually consume the queue item. It does not care whether that consumption was successful or not. It's only a checkpoint following which you move to the next queue item. Next queue item. Also, q dot join, a useful operation which checks whether there's anything left to consume in queue, depends on number of q dot comparing count of q dot get and q dot task done operations. If it's the same, I wanted to condense my learnings. Does this make sense? पुट बोला था क्या वो? आई थिंक डिड आई मेक अ मिस्टेक ओवर हियर? Okay, there is such a thing as queued or unfinished task. Why the fuck are you making this so confusing, bhai? See, queued a task is explored. Queue populated, right? Print initial count of unfinished tasks. My queue dot unfinished tasks. Now thread to subscriber. एक ही thread चला है क्या? I think it's just one thread. ठीक है, it's fine. not removed. This will be thoda messy. Perfect, perfect. Initial count of so, and tasks done definitely decrements it. Unfinished task before q.get. After q.get. q.put की भी बात करते हैं. q populated, adding one more element, my q dot put, I don't know, 6 or something. 5 डालते हैं. q dot put, या q dot put से हो जाता है. What? Unfinished tasks after q dot get. तो गेट ऑपरेशन कुछ नहीं करता. इट्स जस्ट टास्क्स डन एंड ये क्या बोलते हो. Fine, this is nice. The join method. Item append q dot put unfinished task plus plus whenever task done is called. Yeah, note that q dot get doesn't change unfinished tasks. This is the sluggish speed I'm going with. I haven't read a single page of the book. I'm just swimming in doubts. Love God. Okay, this I think is I'm good with. DQ objects. DQs or doubly ended queues are another communication primitive that we can doubly बेसिकली क्यू, लेकिन फ्रंट से भी डाल सकते हैं, बेसिकली निकाल डाल सकते हैं. Import collections, double include queue. डाल दो यार. DQs. Okay. Took me a while to get the spelling right. DQs, queries, dequeries are just regular queues where you can push / pop from front / back, as opposed to regular queues where you can only push back and pop front. I think these are C++ terms, but I think I hope you get what I'm trying to say. Push back and pop front. How long are you studying, by the way? 1 बजे तक करना है, फिर 1 घंटा अप्लाई करना, वो भी लाइव स्ट्रीम पे आके. Otherwise, like, I'll get sick of it. I'm not kidding. Import collections, doubly DQ मारना भाई, क्या चल रहा है. DQ तो बड़ा DQ dot is equal to collections dot DQ. What the hell do you mean? Okay. DQ dot format for item in DQ, print item leftmost, rightmost. Alright, can do this. DQ कैसे किया यार तुमने, like without understanding what data type you're working with? What if I wanted to put strings? What the fuck, bhai? Is it because of this? Damn. नहीं, मेरे को समझा नहीं है कैसे होता है. Fine, I guess. I mean, तो supposed to change it here. काढ्यो रे ताली. म्हणजे स्वताडेन स्वताडेनच घे. हा या येस. करना पड़ेगा. सॉरी. हाँ कट्टा.
आम्ही लवडीनी रे, तुम्ही कामगार म्हणून.
लागे
दाळ धुवली कशी रे, सगळी वतप आनी कालून जेवप. दाळ प्रोटीन कोण सोडटा, आनी हांवें ती फिकी केल्ली पिवपाची डायरेक्ट.
Okay, let's continue. In the preceding code example, we first input sorry. Append by default I think goes to the right. By the way, I keep running these scripts in a separate Python file because that is usually how you do it. Matlab, it is highly discouraged to run multi-threaded / multi-process programs in a Jupyter environment. You are not, matlab, you're going to get some weird behavior at times. The most reliable way of doing it is to just run it in a Python file, .py file. That's why I'm doing this. sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What am I doing? Arre, arre, arre. Obviously. Just came back to make this. हाँ मतलब you can pop also. वो कर सकते. No worries. Insert 5 at 5. इतना ही है ना. सामने थोड़ा बोरिंग ना. So at 0 1, what happened there? 0 1 2 3 4. ये क्यों? Okay, they became characters. समझा नहीं मेरे को. बट इंडेक्स एंड ऑब्जेक्ट, तो इसको कैरेक्टर में बनाना पड़ेगा. Cool man, cool, excellent. थोड़ा बोरिंग. DQs give us the ability to rotate our object, Q object, by n steps to either the right फिर ये सब क्यों सिखा रहे हो? वेट, रोटेट का मतलब क्या होता है? You just rotate 3 steps. You just rotate 3 steps if I'm not wrong. हो गया भाई. I think this is the last example over here. I need a break. Oh god. Ah man. Yeah, I think I need a break, Ethan. How long is this going for? I'll meet you guys at, I don't know when I'll meet you. 45? 11:45? Sure.